y'all. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. I'm going to officially...
The dogs.
Frida and George
Yes.
are here.
The most important creatures.
My name is Alexa. I'm on the events team here at Books Are Magic, and we are so excited to have Marissa Higgins and Fran Davis here with us tonight, as you know, to celebrate Sweetener. Before we get started, I just want to point out a few logistics for how tonight's event is going to go. We're going to do a hand-raised audience Q&A at the end of the discussion, so you guys can start thinking while these authors are chatting, get some good questions going. After the talk tonight, Marissa will be signing and personalizing books close to where we checked in, and I can show you where that is at the end of the event. And then if you're joining us virtually on the YouTube live stream, we'd love to encourage you to buy a copy of Sweetener online using the link in the live stream description below. We also have copies here, and we have copies of Diket and A Good Happy Girl, so you guys got to load up before you leave. Tonight's ticket options included a $10 donation ticket to the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund, which enters you into a raffle to receive something very exciting, which we will divulge at the end of this event. And let's get started. Sweetener is a lesbian screwball comedy following two exes who turn to online dating after their dramatic split, only to end up seeing the same woman. Sumptuous, sticky, and slightly absurd, Sweetener brings together three women figuring out what kind of mother, partner, or sugar mama they want to be. Marissa Higgins is a lesbian writer. She's the author of the novels A Good Happy Girl and Sweetener, and Fran Davis is the author of Diket and is at work on a new novel about wives and girlfriends. She lives in Brooklyn. So without any further ado, please join me in giving the warmest welcome to Marissa and Jenny.
So I love everyone for coming so much. We're basically all family now because it's Marissa's first in-person event.
My only one.
First and hopefully not only, but first.
It feels...
Yeah, so you're really witnessing history being made. And I'm so happy to be here and recognize so many people.
Thank you.
We're literally just all family. So I think Marissa's going to start by reading.
Okay, so guys, I am amazed that I'm able to read at all. Okay, so if you can't understand me, just say it. Like, just feel free to just interject. Okay, so I'm going to read probably very slowly a few pages from the middle of chapter 2. And the context is Charlotte is doing a role play with other Rebecca, and it involves Charlotte surviving being held at knife point while working at an organic supermarket, which she does not do. So this is...
Wait, time out.
Yes.
Okay, I actually think before you read, let's just describe the plot, because I think that will actually really help with the reading.
Okay, what is the plot?
Okay. What if you start by just describing, like, the major dynamics? Like, there's Rebecca and Rebecca, the two exes, and then there's each Rebecca and Charlotte, who's the person they're both dating.
That was perfect.
Okay, so...
Right?
Yeah.
I
so
think.
What's the deal with Rebecca and Rebecca? They're exes, but they're still married.
Yes, so the Rebeccas are separated, and one Rebecca does actually work at an organic supermarket down the street, and the other doesn't. So the one who doesn't work there is having Charlotte role play that she does work there, and that she's been, that she survived and escaped being, like, tied up and roughed around.
And Charlotte enters into their, like, sugar mommy love triangle because she is Rebecca A's
Rebecca
sugar
A.
mommy, and then Rebecca B is her sugar mommy. So she's a sugar baby. She's like in the middle of two sugars.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
So this is
that was so helpful, Jenny.
well, you know, I'm assuming because the book came out on Tuesday, you probably haven't had a chance to read it yet.
Wait, will you just raise your hand if you have read it?
Oh.
Okay, so that's like half and half. Okay.
Did we miss anything important?
Yeah,
those of you
Alicia?
who have read it? Good?
No,
You're sure?
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to read just to, like, frame it. 1, 2... I'm going to read 3 pages. So this should be... I should be able to do that, God willing. Okay. Okay. Charlotte's favorite form of intimacy is fighting, but her second favorite form of intimacy is being fussed over. Surviving a hypothetical robbed at knife point mission feels old-fashioned and romantic, a story where all the women know their role. All that's missing is her pregnancy belly, the silicone stomach, a prop Rebecca said she was okay with when they started their arrangement and patently avoided ever since. The belly would add to the drama of this fantasy, if nothing else, and Charlotte has it in her mind that next time she'll have a little pre-labor contraction scare. I wore the rope down, Charlotte says, on the corner of the conveyor belt. Her Rebecca oohs approvingly, and Charlotte proceeds to detail her fictional closing shift. The captors didn't do a great job of tying up the workers, but they were good enough to keep people from escaping until they'd gotten into the back office. Charlotte admits she couldn't see inside the manager's space, but it was collectively understood the robbers were going for the safe. In Rebecca's apartment, Charlotte closes her eyes as though bringing an auditory memory back into focus. Yes, an eerie voice, other Rebecca, perhaps, telling the masked men to please be patient. Only 2 managers were on call, and one had locked themselves into the unisex bathroom by the fish department. We can't keep doing this, Charlotte hears other Rebecca say in her daydream. But in Rebecca's apartment, Charlotte isn't sure if she's found acceptance or simply walked down a dark, dirt-lined tunnel. Did the police take photos, her Rebecca says? Did they alert the community? I left before all that, Charlotte says confidently, although this angle of questioning was new. I didn't want to waste a second. The women review Charlotte's brave escape while they have sex on the Rebecca's bed. Charlotte goes down on Rebecca while sputtering about how she could have lost her, how she nearly didn't come home. Around the time Rebecca orgasms, she's talking about being an early widow. When she's done, she asks Charlotte if she wants to grab the vibrator drying by the bathroom sink. No, she says. Charlotte doesn't have her belly on, and she hardly wants to be touched. She wonders if this is what being a stone feels like, then reminds herself if she were a touch-me-not, she wouldn't feel so disappointed at being the vessel instead of the hull. Guilt knocks on her conscience while her Rebecca cuddles her from behind. This adoration is what she wanted, isn't it? She doesn't understand why this couldn't have all happened with her belly on, why she couldn't be just fine. Let me rub your back, her Rebecca says. Her hands are hot and moist on Charlotte's neck and shoulders. Her baby asks what Charlotte's been working on, how the art stuff is going. Charlotte stiffens, thinking about her bellies. She has at least a dozen now, suspended in her walk-in closet. It started as bras, big, beautiful ones, cups thick enough to support milk and pus and heartache. The straps suffered from the increased weight. The bellies are stiff, unyielding, empty. Charlotte paper-mache'd them together so the stomach appears to sprout from all angles. In her sketches, Charlotte only needed to put her arms through 2 holes and her head up the middle, like a bulky sweater vest. But the piece, inspired by Louise Bourgeois' Avenza, looks better without Charlotte. Braver, less exposed. She can't mention her spiders. Something's missing, Charlotte admits. Her Rebecca doesn't ask what. Thanks. Thank you, Jenny.
Well, that reading segues really nicely into my first question, which is about role playing.
Yes.
Everyone is playing a role in this book.
Yes.
Whether it's wife or ex-wife, fake pregnant lady, sugar baby, sugar mommy. Where did all these roles come from, like as you were writing?
Honestly, I felt like this was the stuff that was the base of the whole book. Like, it took almost no thought for me to dream up this weird situation and these freaky people. Like, it felt like, of course, someone has a fake pregnancy belly fetish, and like, of course, the women are married each other with the same name. Like, duh. That just felt like the most normal thing. But yeah, I think the role thing, even with the alternating chapters, it's Charlotte has one, Rebecca has one, and then at the very end you get the other Rebecca. But what I kind of liked about it is that you can read the Rebeccas whatever way you want. Like
Mhm.
you can read the whole book as though other Rebecca is observing and like narrating for her wife, or like Charlotte could be the same. And I like the idea that the roles are really like fluid and flimsy. I like how like there it's all kind of slippery, even for women who ask for these things, who are using like an app to seek out these dynamics. I like that when they meet each other, or when they're frustrated or lonely, they just switch it and go in hot to like this complete opposite dynamic, and they just embrace it. I like how impulsive they are, and how like willing they are to be sneaky and lie just to try this other thing, because they could just talk to each other.
Mhm.
Like none of the drama needs to happen, but like of course it does. Like of course, because these roles that they like self-select,
Mhm.
they feel maybe limiting, but it's like this I feel like something about being like feminine, or just being like women in the world, it can be so hard to like change how you show up for someone.
Mhm.
And so these women just don't, like they just lie and sneak around, and they're just like little freaks who can't communicate, even though they did seek all of this out. Like it's all voluntary.
That's so true. Like none of the arrangements actually function.
Right,
Like
yeah, like hardly
very little
anyone.
sugaring actually takes
Yes.
place. Like is any money exchanged on either end of the
In
like
the
people
book,
pay
not
for like
really.
cab rides and like
Mhm.
small things, but like as far as like contracts being honored and
Mhm.
arrangements actually bearing out, they don't really work in that way. So why do these characters like seek defined roles and then kind of give up on them?
Yeah. So, one of the questions when I was working on the book, my agent, who is really very editorial and very thorough, she was like, "What are the contracts? How much money is it?" Like, she really wanted me to press down on that. And honestly, I feel like these women, what they actually want is to have a container. Like, I think they actually just want to see how, like, who they are under these different labels. And I think so. One, Rebecca is interested in fostering a child, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to have like money, um, as long as you can like prove that you're decently stable, which they're not. But it doesn't really matter in the world of the book, or I think even in real life, it's like kind of almost too easy to become like a foster parent. Like it's not necessarily any that much harder, I think, than what the women in the book face. But so there is a desire for money in terms of fostering and getting getting baby stuff, but I feel like the whole money aspect for me kind of cheapens it, in that it's like if they really wanted money, like if that was it, they could just get it from men. Like they could so easily just get it like online or going out with guys and not have any of this attraction. But I think the women I think they all want to feel like they're like getting two servings, like they're getting two different things. Yeah.
Right. And each person is kind of like playing a role that maybe has more inherent power or lack of power, like powerlessness. Yeah, I feel like I've been thinking about how like playing pretend and like imagining stuff is this like mode of like gay world building, but then it's actually like a house of cards sometimes.
Yes.
Because then like you get caught in lies.
Yes.
And just because you imagine something to be true doesn't mean it always is, which is really sad and like hard to come to terms with. But like the imagined world or like the pretend world is also so rich and like all of their role plays and all of like the sort of fantasies they have about each other, like they're still real. They're just maybe real in a different way.
Yes.
Did any of the dynamics like between Rebecca and Rebecca and Charlotte and Rebecca and Charlotte, did any of those like shift around from how you initially conceived them, like as you wrote? Did
That's a
anything
good
surprise you
question.
about how like people came together or maybe like resisted each other?
So when I first started the book, from the jump, I had the opening, which is one of the Rebeccas, like the greasy one who works at the supermarket.
Yeah, one Rebecca is like greasy and works at a supermarket, and the other Rebecca like comes from a stable family and is getting a PhD, but is an alcoholic.
Yes.
So neither Rebecca is like...
Neither should get a foster baby. Like they should not, they shouldn't be doing it.
And Charlotte is an artist who makes the fake bellies. And
yes.
Anyway, you were saying.
Greasy
Rebecca is interested.
Oh, yes, sorry. Rebecca. Rebecca.
Also, just the name Rebecca is so like, it's so funny to choose.
Do you feel like it's gay? Someone told me that Rebecca is a gay name.
What do you guys think? Yes, like the famous novel.
Yeah, that's what it's from. Yeah, that's why.
Oh, that was the inspiration.
Rebecca's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I because also in the book, am I misremembering? But Rebecca is the dead wife, right? It's not the name of the narrator.
Yeah, Rebecca is the one who like haunts the.
Yes. I should know
the manor.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Yes.
Anyway, Greasy Rebecca.
Greasy Rebecca. Greasy Rebecca was always opened the book as seeking a provider. Like she wanted the money and she wanted like a lesbian to be her sugar mama or like a queer woman or whatever. And she only changes from seeker to provider very impulsively because she's like lonely and sad and she doesn't put much thought into it. She has an interview that goes poorly to like work in like a baked goods section of the same supermarket she's already at. So that was like the one switch, and I had that from the beginning, I think, because I wanted Rebecca to come across as someone who is willing to go like all in on these like very erratic decisions. Like she could have just as easily deleted the app and not met Charlotte. She could have just kept trying to send nudes to like the handful of providers in the DC area. But she doesn't just like change from seeker to provider, but she like does go out with Charlotte and she jumps in front of a car and spills coffee on herself and all of these like weird things. Like she puts herself through the ringer a little to seem like she can provide for this woman when she obviously can't. Like she can't even provide for herself.
It's also funny how much more popular she becomes once she switches from wanting money to being able to give money.
Yes, then everything lights up.
I have to imagine that's true.
I would imagine too, yeah.
Yeah.
At least for Greasy Rebecca.
Yeah. Okay, so that switch was kind of in the initial.
Yes, the book always opened with that chapter.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And for Charlotte and other Rebecca, doctoral student Rebecca who showers, for those two, it was always the same. Yeah, that's interesting. I really actually, in all of the edits, because I've revised it so many times, those dynamics never changed, actually, which is kind of funny. But
is that typical of your writing process?
Alicia, is it? Yeah? I feel like my stuff, the dynamics don't change that much. It's usually just like the building more of a plot.
Yeah. The dynamics are there and fun and like
it's
fun to dig into them, but they don't shit that much.
Yeah, which is kind of weird.
Speaking of dynamics, okay, something I noticed in your first book too is like you don't really describe the characters physically aside from like being greasy. Like like we never know what they're wearing. We never know like if they're like femme or masc or somewhere in the middle. Like you describe Charlotte, I think, as femme, but
With her big belly,
why leave that to the reader's imagination?
It's such a good question. And honestly, like from readers, especially on Goodreads, people are not pleased with me not describing stuff. Like they want to know what everyone is wearing. And yeah, but you know, I don't see anything in my head. Like it's just like black space. So like I mean, they can look however you want them to look. Like it's just a like choose your own adventure in that way. Yeah, like I honestly like don't see them in my head even now. So I'm like, yeah, like you can give Charlotte a buzz cut, she can have a mullet, like whatever suits your fantasy, really.
Yeah, it feels like the book is ultimately more about these pairings and decouplings kind of beyond like physical body, even though they're so rooted in like the physical world and like sex. We also like don't actually visualize the beings so much. It's more visualizing like the space and the energy maybe between them.
Yeah.
Speaking of sex,
yes,
talk about it.
Yeah, honestly, with everything I write, with all of the fiction, there's and one of the things I'm giving away for the raffle is a book that does have a lot of sex in it. It's a whole book that one of you will get to miserably take home with all of my staples.
An unpublished manuscript.
Yeah.
From a drawer.
Yeah.
When did you write it?
So I wrote this one in maybe a month or two early in COVID.
Okay.
And then right after I wrote A Good Happy Girl, my first book. So.
But there's sex in it.
Yes, there's a lot of sex in this one. It is definitely like page-wise, I really just went for it.
Okay,
like there's a ton.
So whoever wins that will have to report back.
Yeah. Yeah, I love writing sex, and I honestly, like, I know I even describe my own work as it being like weird and freaky, but I actually don't think the sex in my books is that weird. Like, I don't think
it's
it
just
is
very
actually
specific.
that. Yeah, like it
which
feels
is like freaky
weird.
because anything specific is kind of freaky.
Yeah.
But like that's what gives it if you actually were to like think of the acts, you wouldn't be that shocked, I guess.
Yeah, like there could be so much that I feel like would like startle readers more. Like in my first book, In A Good Happy Girl, Alicia, you may remember this, there was a reference to period blood that every single person told me to cut, and I finally did. But it was like because I referenced during or after the act of sex that someone was on their period, everyone, my agent, everyone was like, no, you need to introduce this sooner. Like there's no way that the period blood of it all like wouldn't have already come up. But I was like, why? Like to me, like the period blood during sex is like not, like to me
not
that's
notable.
not even notable, really. Alicia, do you remember this? It was Katrina on her period.
Yeah.
You do?
Did we get rid of it?
Oh, is it there? I don't know. Maybe I know Katie, my agent, was very like, that was one of the things she was like, that
and
would
the fact checker didn't, or the proofreader. I feel like that's like kind of their job.
I think she had a menstrual cup in, and then someone's finger was described as having like her period blood on it. But overall,
so leaky diva cup.
Yes, a leaky diva cup. But overall, both my agent and Alicia have been really good about all of the sex in the books. But yeah, I feel like I could go way weirder in terms of the sex they do have. And I feel like some of it is pretty vanilla if I wrote it in a plainer way. I think a lot of it is just the atmosphere of how I put it. But
and you also like, in a non-sexual moment, a character will suddenly like be in a sexual moment, which I feel like also makes it like freaky and weird because like it's not, the sex isn't like boundaried. It's like everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah, you're really good at like kind of putting a reader and a character like in two places at once.
Yes.
And I feel like that happens a lot. I want to ask you also about the spiders and like the spider web stuff.
My little spider.
So first of all, for those who haven't read, just maybe describe what I mean by the spider and webs. And then if you could tell us a little bit about where that came from and, you know, why you decided to go there.
So I think like the most obvious bit is like Charlotte's web, right? Like Charlotte is weaving all of this stuff. And I just think it's kind of funny that it's like a children's book or something. I don't remember Charlotte's Web, but like it just
really
it's
sad
familiar.
children's book.
Oh my God, is it?
Yeah.
All right, well.
Back when all children's books
Were
used to be
sad.
so sad.
Okay, well, RIP to Charlotte's Web, I guess. Yeah, so the spiders, I'm actually kind of fearful of bugs and spiders, but I think they're so beautiful. Like I love taking pictures of like spider webs outside with like raindrops or whatever on them. Like I love them as art. And in the book, Charlotte is a big fan of Louise Bourgeois. I actually don't even know if I'm saying her name right.
Sounds right.
But she's a now dead sculptor who made like huge spiders out of like steel, and she made small ones. They like probably would fill a big portion of the room. And I have always been really moved by them, and I've seen the spider sculptures in person at different places, and I feel like so much, like I feel like in awe every time I see them, even though like if a way smaller spider was like on me, I would panic. But I feel just so like moved by them, and that was my way with Charlotte to make sure that her art wasn't like an afterthought. Like I knew it had to be something that I had experienced and something that like wowed me, and it was those huge freaky spiders. They're like massive and heavy. I think they're always black. Like oh, and Louise Bourgeois, her whole thing, or part of her whole thing, was that she held on to a lot of like anger and grief from her father having an affair like on her mother as a little girl. And even well into old age, like she maintained this whole thing about spiders being like protective and that whole thing with her mom. And for me, Charlotte and her belly and the mothering thing, I felt like that connected with what Louise was working on. Like she kept those feelings her whole life. She didn't like she seemed to never move on from it, and I really respect that too. Like I could write about the same stuff over and over and over. I actually love when people do that.
Do you feel like your first book and this book are kind of different kind of incarnations of each other, or are they in serious conversation to you?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I think yes. So when I was first working on Sweetener, I had Rebecca, like the I POV, as that was what I was going for the whole book. And I worried it was too similar to my first book, which is also like first person and a greasy woman. So part of why I went for Charlotte in the different like POV, it's like third person, was because I didn't want to like let myself, in my mind, take like the easy way out by writing like Helen in just a different story. Like so that's part of why I did the alternating POV, was to make sure that it had like, I don't want to get lazy with my ideas or like lazy with the language. And even Rebecca, the first person in this book, I feel like Rebecca and Helen are like in the same weird world, and they would be too dangerous together. I think they would just probably kill themselves.
Oh, yeah. So you wrote Sweetener kind of right on the heels of A Good Happy Girl.
Yeah, so I was working on Sweetener when A Good Happy Girl was on submission, and I didn't think it was going to sell, and I really didn't want my agent to drop me, so I was plowing away at this book. And I think I finished Sweetener. I think Sweetener sold before my first book came out, but I was very terrified. Like I always have like a few books that I'm working on at the same time because again, I'm terrified of my agent just losing interest in what I'm working on. But yeah, Sweetener was done, or at least drafts of Sweetener were done before the first book came out, which is kind of, I guess it was good for my like sense of ego, but I was nervous. Like I did not feel confident about either book before they came out or even now.
It's really hard to feel confident about something you've made.
I know.
I have more questions, but I think it's time for audience questions.
And we need to talk about Diket at some point. A little,
no
at
pressure.
least. No, but
okay,
I want to. But I want to.
Anyone?
Well, now you're desperate for a question?
Ariel?
Hello. Wait, will you hold up Frida?
Georgie.
Or
That's
George?
Georgie.
Hi, baby. Look at that face.
I would love to hold him. Just putting that out there. Yeah. Oh, that's okay.
Both of your books have to do with threes. Can you speak about that?
So,
oh, that's a good question.
yes, the trios. Yeah, I feel like having 3 people.
Oh, he's perfect.
Oh my God, my son. Hi.
It's perfection. Hi.
Having 3 just came totally naturally for both ideas, like for both books. I feel like it's not that unconventional really, but in literature it does feel unconventional. Like it really like people have such strong reactions to a throuple or like a cheating situation. Like people I think are really like that's what people were stuck on with A Good Happy Girl and even this one where there are so many other plot points, but just the idea of it being 3, I think like people just I feel like that in itself is weird to people, but I really don't think it is. Like I feel like the women I write in these trios, like they're kind of just normal. Like I don't think it is actually that interesting. But when I was reading other books, like just other books that fell in that world, it's kind of hard to find books from like big like mainstream publishers that have 3 people in a couple. Like I actually it's hard for me to I mean they exist, but it was hard for me to find reference points on like how you write and balance them. Like do you know of any?
I feel like Acts of Service by Lillian Fisher.
Yeah, that was one.
Like saying, like, it's so edgy because it had 3
Yeah, totally.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
that
I feel
one.
like...
I read that one. Yes.
Yeah, I'm so excited for that book. Have you heard Middle Spoon?
No.
It's Alejandro.
Oh my God, is it like because the middle spoon?
Yeah.
Like they're spooning?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay, that's very cute.
They're off the top of my head. Yeah, not so many.
Like they exist for sure, but
it's like it's very temporary. There's not like as much of a sustained throuple.
Maybe Little Rabbit. Was that 3? I don't remember, but I remember really liking that book.
Well, like as far as writing fiction goes, 3 kind of makes sense because you have 2, but then you need like a third thing.
Yes.
Like to make it a story. The 3 kind of is a convenient way to have like that extra thing in the room that's like a
Yes.
weird looming
Yes.
third thing. And then it's not just about two people or two couples. It's like the third thing gives it like the electricity.
Yeah. So my books.
I love you so much.
Hi, Georgie. Yes, Georgie is the third
And like
thing.
without George, like our conversation would be 90% less cute.
Hi. Oh yes, thank you. Yes.
George also, his sister is here,
Frida.
but she's hidden.
Oh.
Hi, baby.
Oh
Hi,
my god, the way
little.
she emerged from that bag.
Her teeth.
So funny.
Perfection.
We're like pulling things.
Yeah. Yeah, in real life, 3, I guess, is famously hard, but in fiction, I think it works.
When I was a little girl, I genuinely, as like a secret to myself, believed that when I grew up, like a couple, like 2 lesbian vampires were gonna come claim me. Like as a
2
little
of
kid.
them?
Yeah,
Were
as
they
a
in a
little
couple?
kid, I think, in my little girl brain.
Wait,
Like this was like an ongoing like dream
I
thought
hope you're writing a
had.
book about that.
God,
It's so
I
romantic-y.
I know it is romantic. Maybe that will actually sell better if I just make them
Yeah.
vampires.
It also reminds me of Tess knows our friend Alice has a rule of 3 greens where if you're wearing 2 greens, you need to add a third or else it looks like an accident. And I really feel like the same thing applies in fiction.
3 greens. So
Like-
I have 1 green.
Oh, well, that's only 1. You're fine. But if you took that to 2, you'd need to
Like
add
a green
3.
jacket. I would need
Yes.
like a green necklace.
Exactly, because
Okay,
then
that
it's
makes
like
sense.
a pattern. Then it's like interesting.
Oh, like the green lady in what is her name? The green
wanna get
woman who's
down?
like on the
Mommy?
Do you guys know what I'm talking about? There's like someone in New York who wears all green. Yeah, the green lady. Yes.
I don't know about her, but
No, you really don't?
no.
She's man, I've seen
She's, like, in
pictures of
real
her
life,
every-
or-
Yeah.
She was after Brooklyn Public Library.
Ah!
Oh my god.
That's incredible.
That's so cool.
She's all in it, I think. You'll recognize she's on like ads. Like if I
Oh.
walk down the street,
cool.
she's like on a recycling ad or something.
Oh, that's amazing. I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, good question, Ariel. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Hi,
What's your name?
Hello.
I'm Sonia.
Sonia.
Thank
Did
you
you go
for
to
coming,
Wesleyan?
Sonia.
Okay,
Oh
I
my God.
recognize you.
I saw, yeah. I was, oh yeah, look, she's a year ahead of me. There we go. That was fun. A question for both of you, because you're not avoiding the spotlight, is
Thank you.
My question is, what are your book or your books about, and then what are they really about?
Oh,
you can go first.
I can go first?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. I can go first. Yes.
I would say that my first book, Daycat, and then the book I'm working on now, I'm like actually thinking so much more about the one I'm working on now, so it's good exercise to think about the past. Okay, I think that was like on the surface about 3 couples that, you know, blah, 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 like the blurb or whatever. Go upstate.
Say what that is.
3 couples, 3 who go upstate
Yes.
together and, you know, chaos ensues and blah, blah, blah.
Jenny.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to like say the whole thing. But what it's really about is probably like recognizing yourself in other people or other things or art or it's about like recognizing yourself outside of yourself. Maybe
Yeah.
that felt true at the moment.
Yeah, no, I think that is true for what I remember of Daycat. Yeah. I loved Sasha.
Oh, I hope she's doing well.
I think for mine, the books are like about God. I think what they're really about is vulnerability. But I think what they're like on on the obvious level, they're about mentally ill lesbians, but really it is just about like it's so, I even feel like putting characters on the page, it does make them vulnerable. Like they feel real to me, where I'm like, imagine if someone was writing, this sounds like I'm describing a stalker, but like in real life, if someone was like writing and had like that access to your brain or could like see the sex you were having, it would, well, maybe it would feel violating, but for me, with my whole lesbian vampire thing from childhood, for me, it would feel like so intimate to have someone like knowing your head and like writing your story.
Well, like you're exposing the characters and also yourself, but like mostly exposing, like you're like staring at them and like everyone can read their thoughts, and it is like extremely intimate and extremely vulnerable, not even for like the writer, but like for the person that you made up. Like they're just being like spilled open.
I know. But do you feel guilty? Like for your Rachel Maddow type, or like any of your girls, like do you feel
Guilty?
any regret?
Should I?
Or like no, but I sometimes
Probably,
do.
yeah.
Like I sometimes do, just because I'm like, oh my god, I sent Helen greasy and suicidal into the world, and she has like a, like, I don't know if you look at Goodreads, but we roughly share a rating system with Gypsy Rose. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, I love her.
You do?
Wait, she's the one who
killed her mom?
Or then like really worked on herself.
Yes, she is thriving. But her Goodreads, yeah, I think we're in the like you might like if with Gypsy.
Okay, that's fine. I would never dream of looking at that, so it's none of my business.
You're smart.
I think it was Anna Dorn that said that the best books are ones that have like a 3.0 like overall star rating on Goodreads.
That's so funny.
That's like where you are, and it's like perfect.
I mean, it's not that surprising, I guess. Like
it's all the people who are like don't understand like what you're trying to do. So it's like a 1-star.
Also,
review.
like,
It's like what the fuck
no
is going
offense if
on?
anyone.
That is what all of my reviews are.
It's the best book.
Yeah.
I Love Dick by Chris Kraus. Like it got like a 1-star. It was like this was like the ramblings of like a mentally insane person. Like made me want to read it.
I need to read it.
Funny. Yeah. Yeah. One more.
Okay. Oh my god, the pressure.
Well, maybe tell us what you're working on next, unless anyone has another question. Yeah.
Okay, you kind of touched on this already with the like greasy Rebecca and the other Rebecca. But I was wondering, as you were writing, like how you differentiated between the Rebeccas. Or, like, were they very clear, like distinct people?
Honestly, in my head, they're always clear and distinct. I feel like even though people may find it confusing when reading, I actually never did while writing. But I think for me, it's like the Rebeccas, if I like feel them in my head, they feel really different to me. Like their atmosphere, like their like ambient self, I feel like is in different parts of my brain. So that's like not really helpful in a craft level, but yeah, I didn't get confused with them, I don't think.
There's that line where it's like if you share a name, you kind of share like a way of being understood, or what's the line where it's like it becomes easy to become one person.
Did I write it?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I have no idea.
I'll look it up later.
I have no idea.
But like for all of the ways that the Rebeccas are really entangled and entwined and kind of two parts of the same person, I actually like was not confused between the two of them. Even when you would just say Rebecca or like her Rebecca or other Rebecca, it's almost like when you know a pair of identical twins, you can tell them apart, but when you don't know them, they're identical.
Yeah, I love the like twin,
like the two Oppenheimer brothers. Like the longer you watch Selling Sunset, it becomes so easy to tell them apart. They're kind of like the Rebeccas.
Are they twins?
That show?
No, I've never.
They're identical twins.
And do
And
they
at first,
look?
you're like, I'm never gonna tell Brett
Oh.
from Jason, but then you really do.
I'll watch it. What is it called?
Selling Sunset?
Is it like HGTV?
No, it's what is it?
I think it's
Oh, okay, okay.
It's, yeah. Chriselle, does that ring any bells?
Chriselle? Is that a name? No.
Yeah.
Chriselle.
Like a lesbian. Honestly.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm missing out.
You gotta like step your foot into some pop culture.
Yeah, I will. I had no idea what this was.
You're gonna love it. I'll text you about it.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Um,
Well, on that
Should
note,
we do the
y'all,
raffle?
Yes.
Yay!
If you're still with us on the YouTube live stream, again, please check out the link in the description box below. And then if y'all are here, obviously, we have the books to sell at the front. And then I'll be guiding Marissa over to this like little alcove to be signing after the event. And just make sure you have your belongings and your candy with you because we have to turn it back into a bookstore and pack up all these chairs. But otherwise, thank you guys so much.
Oh wait, what about the raffle?
Oh, and now we're gonna do the raffle.
Wait,
Okay.
are you raffling off two things or just?
So